This is Nightline, and I'm Sabrina Zainal. News making the headlines. Federal government approves a 25% increase in capitation grant to state governments. And foreign donors should not be allowed to provide financing to political parties. Good morning. We begin with this story. The federal government has approved a 25% increase in the capitation grant to state governments, amounting to an additional 109 million ringgit. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim said this is the first revision of the capitation grant since 2002.
In a statement, Anwar, who is also Finance Minister, said the decision was made during the 2025 National Finance Council meeting, which he chaired on Thursday. Also in attendance at the meeting were the Sarawak Premier, along with the Mentris Besar and Chief Ministers. With the revision, the capitation grant will increase to 548 million ringgit, effective 2026. Anwar also announced that federal allocations to state governments will be raised to 9.8 billion ringgit for 2025, up from 9.3 billion ringgit last year. The Prime Minister added that the Madani government is committed to strengthening cooperation with all state governments, regardless of political affiliations or inclinations. This is to ensure effective service delivery to the people. Anwar also emphasized that relations with all state governments must remain strong for the well-being and prosperity of the people.
Meanwhile, Anwar highlighted the success of the Northern Corridor Economic Region, NCER, in attracting investments totaling 64.7 billion ringgit last year, creating over 14,000 job opportunities for Malaysians.
Anwar announced the investment figures after chairing the 33rd Northern Corridor Implementation Authority (NCIA) meeting. He stated that NCER's investment growth has increased for 3 consecutive years. The meeting also discussed the significant potential of fabrication development to support the high-value manufacturing ecosystem in the northern region.
In another development, Anwar rejected allegations that the government ignores insults against Islam, describing them as slanderous and misleading. He stressed that anyone who mocks any religion will be investigated and prosecuted.
Anwar warned certain parties to stop stoking racial sentiments and spreading hate. In a message delivered by his senior press secretary, Tunku Nasrul Abaida, the Prime Minister said a small group was deliberately spreading the false perception that the government engages in selective enforcement. He stressed that the claim is entirely unfounded.
Jelas semuanya disiasat, didakwa dan akhirnya dihukum. Dan kesemua tindakan tersebut adalah berasaskan peruntukan undang-undang sedia ada. Dan setiap kes yang ada punca pelaporan akan melalui jalur proses dan hukum negara.
Anwar also cited various cases as evidence that action is taken against religious mockery regardless of background or ethnicity. Among them, a company and its supplier were each fined 60,000 ringgit over the sale of socks bearing the word Allah. Similarly, action was taken against a man who mocked the word Allah, resulting in a 12,000 ringgit fine and a 6-month prison sentence. A corn vendor was also fined 400 ringgit for displaying a racist notice, while comedian Harith Iskander and social media user Cecilia Yap were each fined 10,000 ringgit for posting offensive content and comments about Islam online.
In the meantime, Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Razaruddin Hussein has warned that stern action will be taken against anyone who stokes sentiments related to race, religion and royalty, also known as the 3R issues. He reminded the public to refrain from raising issues that could disrupt harmony, trigger tensions or cause division. Additionally, the top cop also urged all parties to avoid speculating on any ongoing investigations related to such matters. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, will not be questioning former Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob on Friday as scheduled. MACC Chief Tan Sri Azam Baki said the questioning has been moved to March 13th due to Ismail Sabri's health.
Datuk Ismail Sabri masih lagi cuti sakit dan perjanjian untuk dia datang ke pejabat pada 13 bulan 3.
The Bura Member of Parliament was supposed to return to the MACC headquarters in Putrajaya early Friday for a further statement to be recorded in relation to an ongoing investigation into corruption and money laundering cases. The MACC previously seized cash totaling 170 million ringgit in various foreign currencies and gold bars worth nearly 7 million ringgit after raiding a condominium that was used as a safe house by former officials linked to Ismail Sabri. The three entities involved in drafting the political funding bill have agreed that foreign donors should not be allowed to provide financing to political parties. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Law and Institutional Reform, Datuk Sri Zainal Othman Said, said the government, the All-Party Parliamentary Group Malaysia, APPGM, and the Special Select Committee concurred that foreign funding should be prohibited under the proposed legislation.
The minister was speaking to the press after attending an engagement session on policy setting for the bill's drafting earlier on Thursday.
Because we don't want to be controlled from outside. That is number one. Number two, when it comes to GLC and all that, this is where the flip side, because some of the select committee and the APPGM is looking at it from a different perception of influence.
She added that at times, an individual does not contest an election but still receives funding from donors who support them as a leader or believe in their party. Further studies will be conducted to address concerns raised during engagement sessions, focusing on three key aspects: political parties, politicians, and election campaigns. The Prime Minister's Department's Legal Affairs Division has been instructed to conduct a nationwide roadshow to gather public feedback following the engagement sessions.
The Home Ministry will introduce a special pass for investors and expatriates from April onwards. Its Minister, Datuk Sri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail, said the pass will facilitate their entry process and allow them to stay longer in the country to manage their business affairs.
Kita akan keluarkan pula terbaru ni, kita panggil pas untuk pelabur saja. Itu pas baru. Ini semua untuk membolehkan bahawa keberadaan mereka kita masuk mudah. Ease of doing business itu yang mereka nak tengok. Lagi cepat permohonan mereka kita proses, kita permudahkan, maka lebih baiklah penerimaan mereka terhadap.
Initiative will serve as a single window system to streamline entry for these groups, with the passes being issued electronically. Overall, the Immigration Department issues nearly 3 million passes a year, with the most popular being the temporary work visit pass, student pass, and spouse pass. Saifuddin noted that several popular types of passes can be managed online through digitalization, saving the government 13 million ringgit in printing pass stickers for passports. He added that his ministry is also committed to resolving the remaining 11,700 applications for entry passes and permits by June.
In Selangor, residents in Sekinchan were left shocked and devastated after a strong whirlwind swept through their homes during a violent storm on Thursday morning. A total of 8 houses and dozens of small structures, including roadside stalls, were destroyed in the aftermath. Fortunately, no casualties were reported in the 7:15 a.m. incident.
The powerful storm, which tore off rooftops and damaged homes, was captured on camera and widely shared on social media. The affected homes and structures scattered across paddy fields along Jalan Banlesen, Parit Empat, displaced 36 residents. One of the victims, A. Marutarajan, recounted that he and his wife were inside their home when the storm hit.
Angin terus kuat. Lepas tu dia dua kali bumbungnya naik turun. Lepas tu dia terus pusing, terus terbang. Macam tu je. Tak sampai 15 minit je.
Meanwhile, Azman Masto and his wife Nuraina Hashim were deeply saddened as the disaster hit during Ramadan, just weeks before the Hari Raya Aidil Fitri celebrations. During the incident, the couple were at their eldest child's home in Putrajaya.
Saya sampai dalam pukul 11 tu, keadaan rumah memang sedih lah. Saya tengok bumbung tercabut semua, barang-barang elektrik pun habis semua. Tak ada yang dapat diselamatkan lah. Kebetulan hujan lebat pagi tadi. Itu masalahnya, anggaran kerugian tu dalam 120,000 lah.
Although temporary shelters were provided, all 36 affected residents chose to seek refuge at their relatives' homes.
In other news, an attempt to smuggle 20.42 tons of shisha tobacco worth 4.3 million ringgit, including taxes, was foiled by the Selangor Customs Department. The contraband was found in a container from West Asia at the Port Klang Free Zone.
Central Zone Customs Assistant Director General Ahmad Taufik Sulaiman on Thursday stated that an inspection of the container, which arrived on January 9th, revealed 3,403 cartons of shisha tobacco without a valid import permit.
Modus operandi yang digunakan ialah dengan mengikrar dagangan sebagai school supplies bagi tujuan mengelak dari dikesan oleh pihak JKDM.
The flavored shisha tobacco was believed to be intended for the local market, with each carton priced at 700 ringgit. In a separate case, Customs seized 5 containers at North Port on January 7th containing 10 fully assembled cabin vans with an estimated value of over 880,000 ringgit.
The Narathiwat Provincial Court in Thailand on Thursday freed Malaysian Dikir Barat singer Wan Nur Shahida Azlin Wan Ismail, also known as Ida Izrin, her husband, and 4 others of a charge of possessing 6,059 yaba pills. A 2-judge panel made the decision after finding no evidence to connect the possession of the drug with the accused, who were the 30-year-old singer, her husband, Effendi Ahmad, 35, Eridika Noor, 33, Alif Daraman, 33, Nur Aida Mamat, 33, and Zuhaira Nasrin, 26. The 6 were previously sentenced to 6 months in jail and fined 526 ringgit after pleading guilty to another charge of consuming the yaba pills. However, they were exempted from paying the fine after serving 4 months in jail and demonstrating good behavior throughout their detention at Narathiwat prison. It was previously reported that 6 Malaysians, including a popular female Dikir Barat singer, had been arrested in a raid at a hotel in Golok on November 1st last year for allegedly possessing more than 6,000 psychotropic pills. Bank Negara Malaysia has maintained the overnight policy rate OPR at 3%. The OPR has been kept at 3% for 11 consecutive meetings since May 2023.
The decision to maintain the benchmark rate for the country's loan and deposit rates was made on Thursday during the Central Bank's Second Monetary Policy Committee MPC meeting of the year. Malaysia's economy is also expected to maintain strong performance after recording higher gross domestic product (GDP) growth last year. Employment and wage growth, along with policy measures, meanwhile, is expected to support household spending. This includes the upward revision of the minimum wage and civil servant salaries. In January 2025, headline inflation was recorded at 1.7%. Throughout the year, inflation is expected to remain stable as global costs ease and domestic demand stays balanced. The country's exports are also expected to expand at a moderate pace amid global policy uncertainties.
Bank Negara is expected to maintain the OPR at 3% throughout 2025. Economists believe that keeping the rate steady is the best decision amid subsidy reforms and the volatile global market.
At the same time, the Bank Negara has provided a relatively calm assessment towards inflation. They noticed that the inflation would likely to be more contained despite the possible policy adjustments, especially in areas relating to fuel subsidies. And this would mean that keeping the rate steady will be the best course of actions.
Even though when we look into the uncertainty at the global stage with regards to the imposition of tariff by US on many of its trading partners, the prospect for economic prosperity remain for this year.
The government will develop over 409,000 hectares of abandoned rubber plantations nationwide. In a written parliamentary reply on Thursday, Plantation and Commodities Minister Datuk Sri Johari Abdul Ghani said the initiative will be implemented through the Rubber Recovery and Production Enhancement Plan. According to Johari, the plan also includes a program to consolidate smallholders by integrating abandoned rubber plantations through a cluster farming model. The move allows the government to increase production and land productivity while also boosting the income of smallholder farmers. He explained that small plantation areas will be consolidated into large-scale estates. In addition, infrastructure development and technical support for abandoned plantations will be carried out.
With U.S. trade shifts in motion, how can Malaysia seize new opportunities? What strategies will give Malaysia the edge? How to leverage ASEAN ties, supply chain relocations and investment appeal? U.S. trade shifts, Malaysia's opportunities. Muhammad Ahmad Hamdan speaks with regional APAC lead of Ipsos Strategy 3 Malaysia, Kiranjit Singh, this Saturday evening on TV3 and stream on Tonton.
The euro held at a 4-month high against the US dollar on Thursday, hitting $1.0822 US for the first time since November 7th. The shared currency has gained 4.1% so far this week, set for its biggest weekly jump since March 2009. This as optimism lingered around Germany's plan for a massive infrastructure fund and debt overhaul ahead of the European Central Bank ECB's policy announcement later in the day, where a quarter-point rate cut is widely expected. In the meantime, the dollar index wallowed at a 4-month trough against a basket of major peers after U.S. President Donald Trump's administration gave a 1-month reprieve on auto import levies. Shanghai take control in Champions League last 16. Sports after this breather.
Buat apa tu? Puasa yang yuk. Pagi-pagi dah buka apa ni yuk? Tahanlah sikit lapar tu, tapi kalau buka TV3 tak apa. Indahkan memori Ramadan bersama saya, Janani. Jaga hati, jaga mulut. Selamat berpuasa. Semoga bertahan sehingga Raya.
Ramadan macam tak lengkap je kalau tak tengok drama dekat TV3 kan? Jom indahkan memori dengan drama menarik minggu ini.
Anak ni perhiasan rumah tangga.
Awak punca saya tak ada anak tau.
Awak nak satu Malaysia tahu yang anak kita mengandung luar nikah.
Boleh tak Mia tinggal dengan An? Awak tak percaya aku. Awak tak percaya Mia.
Apa yang awak buat ni?
Saya merasa campur. Ini antara saya dengan mak saya.
Dengan cara berkeras macam ni. Awak fikir ini caranya?
Salam Ramadan. Indahkan memori di TV3.
And we're back with sports. Badminton, the 2025 Orléans Masters. National top men's singles shuttler Li Zijia put on a commanding display to secure his spot in the quarterfinals, brushing aside former world number 1 K. Srikanth on Thursday night. The independent player looked in fine form as he dominated Srikanth with a convincing 21-11, 21-17 win after just 30 minutes on court. Srikanth, a World Championships silver medalist in 2021, tried to bounce back but had no answers to Zijia's sharp attacking play. Zijia will now await the winner of the second round tie between Japan's Yushi Tanaka and Ireland's Nat Nguyen to determine his next opponent. Moving on to football, the AFC Champions League elite in Shanghai, China. Shanghai Shenhua's FC's improved second-half performance saw them earn a 1-0 home win against Kawasaki Frontale in their round of 16 first-leg match on Wednesday.
The visitors found their tempo early in the match with Yasuto Wakizaka scoring in the 34th minute, but Shenhua earned a reprieve after the goal was ruled out for offside following a VAR review. The Japanese side had another opportunity in the 44th minute when So Kawahara chipped a pass to Marcinho at the back post, but the Brazilian forward could not steer his shot on target as goalkeeper Bao Yaxiong closed in on him. Shenhua picked up from where they left off in the second half, and their persistence paid off in the 76th minute, no thanks to an own goal by Kota Takai. The Japanese centre-back inadvertently pushed the ball into his own goal when trying to clear Wilson Manafa's fiercely driven low cross, giving the Chinese side the advantage heading into next week's second leg.
Still on football, the AFC Champions League 2 in Dubai. Al Sharjah came from behind to force a well-earned 1-1 draw with Shabab Al Ahli in their quarter-final first-leg tie away on Wednesday.
Despite the hosts' early dominance, Al Sharjah closed the first half strongly as both shots from Luanzinho and Usman Kamara were parried away by goalkeeper Hamad Al Makabali. Shabab, however, had the perfect start to the second half, needing less than a minute to take the lead with Sardar Azmoun evading his marker to slot home his 5th AFC Champions League, 2 goals in 3 matches and 9th overall. The visitors bounced back and leveled the score in the 68th minute when Chao Lucas fired in a scorcher thanks to Adel Tarabat's pinpoint through ball. With neither side able to find the back of the net again, the spoils were shared with the return leg in a week's time, set to be a blockbuster.
More than a dozen hurt after fighter jet accidentally bombs a village. The details when Nightline returns.
Burung kenari terbang ke awan, sinar jingga terangi awan, indahkan memori di bulan Ramadan di TV3 siaran pilihan. Dalam kesederhanaan kita capai kemuliaan, dalam kesabaran kita raih kemenangan. Salam Ramadan daripada saya, Fitri Yahya.
Dah lama tak tunjuk skill memasak? Ramadan tahun ni, jom indahkan memori bersama keluarga di dapur.
One pot lasagna. Tapi jangan risau, sangat-sangat mudah nak buat dalam menu sihat Ramadan.
So idea kan cakap lah, sayang boleh tak kalau you masak? I say you masak sedap. Betul sayang? Okay, bukan macam tu sayang. Ya Allah. Okay, dah.
Anak mama masak apa tu? Salam Ramadan, indahkan memori di TV3.
Sudah ku mencuba untuk merelakan semua, habis terbelah di dada, tersenyum jua. Hening rindu, mampukah untukku merengkuh hatimu, walau telah berlalu kasih yang ku rayu.
At least 15 people were injured on Thursday after 2 South Korean fighter jets accidentally dropped their bombs on a civilian area during a live fire exercise with the U.S. military near the country's border with North Korea. Officials said the incident occurred after 2 F-16 fighter jets flown by the country's Air Force released 4 Mark 82 bombs abnormally during a live fire exercise on Thursday morning. The bombs fell outside the designated firing range and fell in a village in Pocheon and damaged 8 buildings, including a church. Of the 15 injured, 2 were soldiers and 2 were foreign nationals. At least 10 of the injured individuals have been taken to hospital, including 2 civilian men who sustained serious but non-life-threatening injuries to their face and shoulder. The incident is now under investigation, and live fire exercises, a type of military drill where live ammunition is used, have been put on pause until a cause is determined. Australians in Cyclone Alfred's danger zone have been warned they only have hours to escape, while there are fears an entire coastal city in northern New South Wales will be inundated with water. Forecast to hit on Saturday morning, the Category 2 cyclone was 240 kilometers east of Brisbane and moving west at just 7 kilometers per hour on Thursday, with sustained winds near the center gusting to 130 kilometers per hour. By 9:30 p.m. local time on Thursday, more than 27,000 people were without power, with more expected to follow from the southern Moreton Bay Islands past Port Macquarie in New South Wales. The Gold Coast, particularly Coolangatta, was the worst hit in Queensland, with Cabarita Beach, Broken Head and several suburbs inland of Tweed Heads among the worst affected south of the border. Brisbane Airport has also been closed, with hundreds of flights now suspended. In other news, Hamas on Thursday brushed off U.S. President Donald Trump's latest threat and reiterated that it will only free the remaining Israeli hostages in exchange for a lasting ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. The group added that these threats complicate matters regarding the ceasefire agreement and encourage the occupation to avoid implementing its terms. Hamas accused Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of trying to back out of the ceasefire agreement they reached in January. It stated that the best path to free the remaining Israeli hostages is through negotiations on a second phase, which were supposed to begin in early February. On Wednesday, Trump's administration threatened further destruction of Gaza if Hamas fails to release all the remaining hostages and issued an ultimatum for the group's leaders to flee. The U.S. president also said he was sending the Zionist regime everything it needs to finish the job as his administration expedites billions of dollars in weapons.
Meanwhile, France, Germany and the United Kingdom have described the humanitarian situation in Gaza as catastrophic and urged Israel to ensure the unhindered delivery of desperately needed aid. South Africa also denounced the Zionist regime's restriction of aid into war-ravaged Gaza since the weekend, saying it amounted to using starvation as a weapon of war. In a statement, it said, "The people of Gaza are experiencing immeasurable suffering and urgently need food, shelter and medical supplies." South Africa also called on the international community to hold Israel accountable. The first phase of the ceasefire ended on Saturday, and Israel has since imposed a total blockade on all goods entering Gaza, demanding Hamas release remaining captives without beginning the negotiations to end the war.
that concludes Nightline this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look as the FIS Free Ride World Tour returned to the rugged Caucasus Mountains for stop 4 of the season, where free riders faced off on the Kakiani Face in Georgia. With that, I'm Sabrina Zainal. Thank you for watching and selamat bersahur.